Good morning, I'm still Jeremy, and I'm here at Takamatsu Station in Shikoku in Japan. One of the things you see a lot when you wander around Japan in any town or any city is buildings being destroyed and new ones coming up. Today I'm going to go look at a very special and very interesting case here. It's a very controversial building here in Takamatsu. It's a beloved cultural landmark here in town, and the prefecture wants to demolish it. This has been in the news very recently, just within the last couple weeks. It's been in the news for about 10 years, but things are coming to a head now, and while I still can, I'm going to go see it. I think it's still there. I don't think they've started demolishing it yet, and they may not. So I'll explain when we get there, but it is a very, very interesting and unique building, and it's not here, it's across town a little bit, so I have to go catch a bus from the bus center. The building I'm looking for is the former Prefectural Gymnasium of Kagawa Prefecture. Kagawa is one of the 4 prefectures on Shikoku Island, and Takamatsu is its capital. Takamatsu has about 414,000 people, down slightly in the last couple decades, but overall one of the rare Japanese cities that's grown, or at least held steady, for 100 years. The controversy with the gymnasium began around 2012. It was closed very abruptly because wear and tear was making it unsafe. This map outside JR Takamatsu train station dates from before that time, obviously. The gym is still on it, and still labeled as the Prefectural Gym, not the former one. In fact, the actual Prefectural Gym now is the new Anabuki Arena, which is a lot more impressive than this cheap little sticker would suggest. My stop is called Takamatsu Keirin-jo, which means Takamatsu Velodrome, after the cycle racing arena across the street. That's the local Budokan, a sort of Japanese martial arts community venue. The velodrome is most of this whole block. Anyway, the former gym is on this side, just down this sidewalk. There it is, you see that curved roof. The Kagawa Prefectural Gymnasium opened in 1964. It was designed by the world-famous Japanese architect Tange Kenzo. He designed several famous buildings in various countries and Japan, including the Hiroshima Peace Park. As for this one, its name was always Kagawa Kenritsu Taikukan, the Kagawa Prefectural Gymnasium. But locals have always called it Fune no Taikukan, the Ship Gymnasium, because of its boldly unusual and distinctive shape. And here it is. The big, weird, beloved, possibly doomed, decaying boat gym. The architect, Tange, said he didn't think of it as a boat, but more like a katana, a Japanese sword. But I mean, it's got portholes. Let's walk around and take a look at the current state of the structure. Construction began on it in 1962, and it opened in 1964. Being the main prefectural gym, it had to be able to accommodate various sports events and competitions. There are 3 floors, plus 1 basement level. This was the front entrance. You have to look at it from the sidewalk these days, since the whole block is cordoned off. Well, except that person. Look at her waltzing around blithely behind enemy lines, getting better, closer images than me. I'm staying on my best behavior, though. I don't need trespassing on my permanent record. Inside the building, the facilities included 3 general multi-purpose rooms for aerobics or martial arts practice and athletic club meetings, whatever people needed. I like this touch. It says Kagawa Kenritsu Prefectural Taikukan Gymnasium. Not that I can actually read this. Kanji is hard enough without it being in calligraphy form and carved into wavy stone. Looks cool, though. Here's the view from the southwest. Do not enter. You hear that, lady? The big thing was its arena, which could be used for various larger scale competitions. It was in the hull of the ship, as it were. There's room for 2 basketball courts, 3 volleyball courts, several ping pong or badminton areas, and things like that. You can see how, especially on the top of the building, it has seen better days. So to continue with the story, in July 2012, the prefecture had the building inspected and assessed for being retrofitted to strengthen it in case of a future earthquake. Inspectors were surprised by the extent of structural damage. One specific worrying development was that the concrete ceiling tiles in the arena, about 3.5 feet long on one side and over 3 inches thick, were cracking, and the steel cables holding them together were broken in places. If those tiles started falling, it could be disastrous. The gym had a fountain on either side of it, all fenced off now. I wonder why, since the whole grounds are supposedly inaccessible. There's still water in this one too. Kind of sad and evocative, but the reflection really helps the boat theme along. The effect of the earthquake inspection was quick. Just a few days later, the same day that the findings were announced publicly, the prefecture closed the gym, just like that. Only the general purpose rooms on the first floor were kept open. The prefecture assured the public that the building was too iconic and important and would not be demolished. Well, there are cars parked inside today, and this gate is down. Wonder what's happening. The only person I saw was that lady, but I don't think she's an official. I saw her walking around the streets earlier. I think this sign says that the parking area could also be used for the Budokan down the street. On Google Maps Street View, you can actually look back at the history of the gym in recent years. This is it in July 2012, the month it was closed. This must be before that July 11th announcement. The next view is from March 2015, after it was totally closed. September 2017, not much changing by now. August 2021. And last year. And today. The prefectural government opened the project up for bids from companies to retrofit the building and bring it up to code. 3 times, in fact, they asked for bids, but nothing happened. In September 2014, the building was shut down entirely, and the prefecture had to decide what to do. It was around this time that a preservation society of concerned local citizens was established. They too tried to figure out what to do, but for several years there was little progress from anyone, and the building just sat here, being used as a storage facility. This is the back of the building, pretty much like the front, with the big sloped roof and the doors. In 2021, Kagawa Prefecture tackled the issue anew. They analyzed various proposals and ideas and made a decision. Saving the gym was too expensive. They would demolish the building after all. Of course, demolishing a huge structure like this isn't cheap either. But to sort of make it official, they added 46 million yen, a small fraction of what would ultimately be needed, to the 2023 budget as a kind of down payment on the demolition. In March of 2023, over 5,500 signatures were submitted on a petition to save the building. The prefecture responded by saying the demolition was going ahead anyway. A government official told the media that the prefecture expected the demolition to cost about 1 billion yen and to take 20 months. More weeds and bushes on the north side here, even on the roof. It's kind of strange to see a building in this stage of disrepair. A few weeds growing in the parking lot and discoloration on the outside, but it still retains its shape. The fountains and everything else still seem very salvageable. It's kind of caught between its former glory and becoming total ruins. Faded but not extinguished. And I guess at this point in the story, we're at the part where everything I say now will become out of date, possibly very quickly.
About 4 weeks ago, the former Kagawa Prefectural Gymnasium Restoration Committee submitted a proposal to gather enough money from private investors to purchase the building and its land and develop it into a commercial concern. The general idea is to fix it up, make it safe, and turn all of it into a hotel, or 2/3 of it into a hotel with a floor of shopping or entertainment or something. The committee said that this would cost between 3 and 6 billion yen and should bring in between 100 to 300 million yen a year when finished. So it would probably take 1 or several decades for it to turn a profit, but as I understand it, they claimed to have the funding needed. And so the committee asked Kagawa Prefecture to put the demolition on hold and enter into discussions about the proposal to save the gym. The governor of Kagawa Prefecture, Ikeda Toyohito, declined, saying the building is just too dangerous. And I definitely don't know the inner workings of any of this, but I would assume, without evidence, that political and economic factors are at play here too. Money for demolition has already been set aside, and there are probably companies ready to pounce on the land when it becomes empty and available. If there's going to be a big boat-shaped hotel here, it might take a miracle. But it still seems possible, if increasingly unlikely. And that's where things stand, as far as I know, as of the making of this video in August 2025. Basically unresolved, although things seem to be leaning towards the end of Tange Kenzo's beloved and outlandish Katana-kun ship gymnasium. And I can safely predict that if and when something replaces it, it won't be anywhere near as interesting or unique. I've got a few minutes left before my bus comes. I'm going to wander a little bit around the streets around here and kind of see what the other vibe of the area like, because otherwise this is just like a residential kind of small neighborhood with this gigantic thing like kind of in the middle of it for now. This part of Takamatsu is called Fukuoka-cho. It's actually on land that was originally salty and it's at sea level. Reclaimed land like this generally means buildings need different types of foundations. That's why the gymnasium has the shape that it does. It uses deeper and more concentrated foundation points. Reclaimed land also means that flooding can happen more easily. A typhoon blew through this part of Japan in 2004, and this neighborhood was one of the hardest hit because sea level land is so much lower than storm surge. Plus, the authorities didn't issue evacuation orders for Fukuoka-cho, despite it turning out to be the hardest hit area. Seems to be a mix of residences and little factories and businesses. Some of the buildings are newer, but a lot of them seem like they're from the same era as the boat gym, and just as fading. If you live right here, you get to look down the street and see the beloved behemoth every day. For some reason, people always back into parking spaces in Japan. They never pull in forward. Hey, abandoned bicycle, right there in the weeds, next to an abandoned van. Motor scooter. I wonder if that's damage from some earthquake. Okay. That's it. That's the look at the ship gymnasium, maybe the last look. It's on its last legs in more ways than one, structurally and administratively. I'm going to see if I can find the bus on that same route I was on. It comes in 4 minutes, I think. Oh, 3 minutes.
goodbye to the boat. That's how it goes here in Japan or anywhere. When you have to tear down a building, maybe it will be saved and maybe it will be a hotel in the future.
Watch extended videos plus exclusive travelogues and video diaries and get my free weekly newsletter and other stuff by joining my community at patreon.com/T1DWanderer.
All right, that was a fun look at Takamatsu. Surprisingly varied streets. Like, I get the sense that it's pretty much a bustling city and doing very well and everything. And even the parts that are sort of old and run down, which are my favorite looking parts, even those parts were not like totally decayed, and they were surrounded by kind of new or, you know, buildings and houses and businesses that were still doing well. So kind of a strong city. Anyway, I'm back here at Takamatsu Station, and it's time for lunch, and we'll see you next time.
Here's the final checklist. Abandoned bicycle, interesting statue or figurine, motor scooter, obachan with cart, notable bird, cartoon drawing on sign, graffiti, hair salon, tree cut into circles, car elevator, beer vending machine. Special thanks this week in random order to Samantha, Will Phillips, Russell Davis, David Richley, Ray Nichols, Calvin Ferreira, Michael Fedor, Thomas G. Ritchie, Lever Wong, Lars Steenberg, Darcy Otranto, and Matt Kane. Thanks for wandering around Takamatsu with me. Everywhere is worth exploring.